Hello. He's a good boy today. He's a good boy, aren't you? It's a lovely sunny day, isn't it? What'd you say? Wow. Hi guys, and welcome back to KTTV with our weekly updates for you during the autumn, coming into the winter of 2023. And this is number 3 of the videos. And today I'm going to do a little update on what's happened over the last week and give you some information about the state of the GoFundMe page, and also some work on the diorama and visitors that have come in the last few weeks to see the existing phase 1 of the KT Working Museum, and brought along gifts, donations to the museum, which is absolutely wonderful. So lots of things to talk about today with me and Alfie, isn't there? So you're sitting comfortably? Yeah, sit comfortably. Oh, yes. So what did we have this week? Well, we had visits from David Oakes earlier in the end of last week, and he came down from Oakes Joinery Restoration, and that's in Hertford, and he did what everybody else did, went straight for the 1664 Phrygian saw, and I think you may have seen some of the reels that I created in some of the Facebook page stuff on Unplugged Woodworkers, with him using the now very famous reproduction saw, this saw that was made in collaboration with David Lundqvist in Sweden, and Peder over in from Two Lawyers Tools, the makers of fine saws, over in Germany. It is a wonderful piece of tooling. It is a faithful reproduction. David kindly went to the museum and examined the existing saw that's in there from the collection, and created a template from which Peder could pass to Gert Frisch in Germany, and he could laser cut these 3 of these panels. David kindly made the tangs here, which we see are forged steel, forged iron, I believe, which are riveted in 2 spots in the plate itself, right at the very back. And each of us were challenged to make a handle, and we all made of various native woods, native to our countries. So I made this out of English boxwood with an octagonal, asymmetrical octagonal ferrule. You can probably see that it's not symmetrical, and that's copying the original. It was very heartening to see Charlie Ernest in the States, who makes his wonderful progression in the last couple of years in making saws, and he has made a version where he's taken a plate and hand cut it, which is superb. Cut it, unlike this one, which is cross cut, he's cut his rip cut, and he's made his own handle and ferrule. So if you pop over to the Unplugged Woodworker group or Charlie's Facebook page, you'll see his version of this. But it's becoming very popular, as we can see in these video clips. (1664) Frisian saw, David Oakes, cutting oysters out of boxwood, 32 thou thick consistently. So we have a visit from Amy, all the way from Virginia. She's over here on a visit, and of course you have to have the 1664 saw experiment. How's it going there, Amy? Fast, isn't it? So on to the diorama. And as I said, I've got quite a long way with that. And we had a delivery this week of all the beams. These are the long beams that you see. These are all cut to 7.5 to 7.5, just over that, just so that I can whittle them down a little bit to fine tune the diorama when we make it. And a whole bunch of posts of different sizes. These are ones for the back, the west elevation, which is a complete frame with no windows, nothing. It's just 3 posts and a top, and that will just be the frame. And then I've made longer posts here, which are slightly longer, and they go in the center of the building, and they support the roof in the middle of the building. So a hell of a lot of work being done on those. They were initially taken from a piece of stock. We've got various pieces of stock, as you can see, like this. I've got large... Oh, hello. Are we getting a resty foot? I've got large lumps of, excuse the shoulder here, large lumps of boxwood. Mostly of these are offcuts. Some of them are quite badly cracked or whatever, have some fault in them that I can't really use them for anything else. So these are all cut down, ripped down into larger beams, such as these, and then I cut them to various lengths of rough sawn down to almost size, and then mark them up, make a fair edge, stick it on a piece of corian, and then use the HP9 Bridge City Toolworks plane, which I talked about in an earlier video, and that thicknesses it down to the correct size. So that's the work we've been doing on the diorama. It will be relatively boring. It's just milling, really, and refining. Let's put all those back. But it's great fun because... Where's he gone? Come around here. Come on, sit up. Up you get. God. You can't do anything. You've got to be watching out with Alfie, because he nicks your seat before you even notice, don't you? And he's been sitting around all week watching me, just lying here, haven't you, in the sunshine? Yes, you have. So I got to use my boxwood jointer, which I made probably 5 years ago, more, in anger for the very first time. And I have used it for a lot of other projects where I've just trimmed an edge or taken some stock down to size. But it's absolutely, there's no feeling. I don't think there's any feeling in the world that where you make a tool and then you go on to make other things with it. And it's worth more than buying the most expensive production tool, or even buying a bespoke tool from a craftsman, because you've taken the time. I think it took me not very quick at making tools, not like Bill Carter, for instance, who pops one out every day. I think this took me probably about 6 months from start to finish, but it really came into its own this week. And if you follow my Facebook page, you'll see a reel on there to show exactly how beautifully it cuts and how beautifully it joints, and it brings down a fair edge on a beam, and then I can use that edge as the reference face to stick onto corian, and then trim the opposite face down with the HP9 Bridge City thicknessing plane, and then that's flipped then 90 degrees, and it becomes a beam which is fair on all faces, to 7.5 millimeters, which is the 1/20th scale for a 6x6 beam for the actual building itself. So yeah, it was great fun. I've noticed it's got little cracks in it. It's got dirty grate knot in the bottom, which somebody said, wow, but it doesn't matter. There's another really big knot in the back there. It doesn't matter. It's boxwood. These are these are beautiful figurine patterns, and they yeah, it's just a joy to use. So I'll insert the somewhere around here. I'll insert that reel so you can hear it. And so on, and that video will describe from me. Sorry, I just smashed the microphone. that video will say from me what sharp is defined as. It's my Wikipedia definition of sharp, that sound. And I think a lot of people listened to and remarked and said, yeah, that's the sound of sharp, if there is such a sound. Okay, on to the visits. Who do we have? We had David Oakes. Now, David brought a donation, which it really brought a tear to my eye, really. There's a little box here. We see this little box. And inside this little box is a beautiful little tool. It's just a little gauge like that. Now, you can go and look it up. It's made by a company called Febson, Febson, and it's a little dial gauge, which you can see if I put strain on the. Let me see if I can put it down. Yeah, if I put strain on the end here, which would be running against the. I don't know if I'm in camera here. Running against the side, it will show you deviations and thickness differences and so on and so forth when I'm doing precision work. This is absolutely beautiful. It's something I will use. I'll probably use it on the Holtz-Apfel lathe. I'll make a holder for it. David, it's absolutely beautiful. I know it's a family heirloom, and that means an awful lot. I've got Mr. T. Oakes on the back, so I presume that's a father or grandfather, and it's absolutely beautiful. And that will go. Every tool that gets donated, every collection or part of a collection gets donated, gets inserted in the donations book for the time, date, and the reference number for the museum, and so that's going in there. And then Mitch came along. Mitch did a visit prior to the presentation that we did together, just to discuss the presentation and to get together and decide what we're going to say and how he's going to introduce it. And he's pretty conscientious in making sure that everything goes perfectly with the presentations. And those of you that attend Bench Talk will know how very well managed it is, and that's one of the primary reasons why it's carried on. Bench Talk was created by myself and a few others getting together at the beginning of COVID, just to have a pub where we could go and chat about woodwork. I think it was 4, 5, 6 of us, something like that. It is now grown out of all proportion, and that's thanks on in many ways to a team of people who manage it. You've got Stephen over in America doing the video recording. You've got Shrenik doing a lot of the management of the videos and so on, and the controlling of the questions and answers. You've got Mitch doing introductions. Scott takes over when people aren't available. I'm sure I've missed someone out, but there are loads of people now that came in, and Jeffrey used to do almost all of that himself, and obviously now he's concentrating on his college in London. So that was Mitch's visit, and Mitch walked in and just nonchalantly said, "Oh, Jim, these are for the museum. These are for you. These are ideal size, and they are a pair of Mitch's trademark winding sticks. One of the winding sticks has black markers, the other one has white markers. I don't know if you know, but when I made my winding sticks, larger size ones, I put black and white checkered markers in, so that if the background behind the actual work that you're working on happens to be black, then you can reference the white marker and it clearly shows up in contrast. If it's a whiteboard that you've got, say, behind you, then the black one is useful. Mitch, these are going to be brilliant. I've used these already, actually, on looking at the twist-in boards that I was cutting down to get the best pieces for the beams for the diorama. So these have been used in anger already, actually in great pleasure already, and wonderful. They're beautiful. So if you want, just get yourself some quality winding sticks. Go check out Mitch Peacock's site, and he's on YouTube, and it's wood made whoa may do. I never, do you know what? I never say WOMADOD, and he's been around for a long while. He's got quite a few followers, and go check his site out, and it's well worth a lot of instructional videos on there. So that's visitors, and then last but not least, yesterday, Amy Harrington McAuley came for a flying visit, only a few hours, but she wanted to see Alfie, didn't she? She came well equipped. Helen Welsh advised Amy that something akin to a suit of armour, certainly from the waist down, is a useful thing, because we got very sharp claws, haven't we? And we want to say hello to everybody, don't we? And we jump up, don't we? Yeah. We don't do that, do you? No. So when you come and visit, the first time you come and visit, you're instantly Alfie's guest. The second time you come and visit, it's a lot easier. And actually, with Amy, he just smelt Amy and said, "I know you," and everything was fine. You were a good boy, weren't you? But Amy spent some time here. Yes, she you saw there, she was one of the ones that picked up the 1664 saw and used it. Again, a very positive reaction, and that's what it's all about. That's what the museum is totally all about. Progress, and we're finally on to the progress, aren't we? Now, what have we had this week? Good. Can you tell me? So we had a lot of donations since the presentation that we did on Bench Talk. Thank you all so very much. It's quite tear-jerking for me to see all these donations coming in. The generosity of you guys is beyond words for me. And we're now up to 3,825 this morning, nearly $4,000, which brings us 1/5 of the way to our final total. As we move forward, tonight we've got a video conference with the project team where we'll be discussing joint frame jointing and the nuances, the detailed work. I need to get on that call and learn from that, because that is the I will make the exact joints in the beams for the diorama, which I intend to start working on this week. I want to put a few frames together to give it a kind of a solidity. At the moment, I've just got a pile of driftwood, really, haven't we? But we have been working hard, haven't we? So every week we've got video calls going on with the project team. We're talking about the next steps, about promotion, and this is part of the promotion. How can you help? On Bench Talk, somebody asked, how can we help you? How can we move you forward? Well, one of the very most important things, and it struck me the other day. Yes, you can sit on my knee. You're not comfortable. One of the most important things it struck me the other day was when my niece, great niece actually, got in touch with me because I'd sent her a copy of the Bench Talk video, and she said, "I'm going to donate. How can I help? Can I pass it on to my friends? I've already passed it on to Mum." Not even associated with woodworking. So it really is important that we pass and share this information around, especially to people who have a vested interest, who will learn and be part of the learning vortex, who may be a visitor in the near future, next year when we open it up. And but not just woodworkers, not just the woodworking fraternity, the metalworking fraternity, the glass making fraternity, the sand casting people. Pass it around. You all got probably different groups to me, different groups to Shrenik, different groups to Mitch. We all have groups where we have an interest in other peripheral subjects. Ask very nicely, can you just pass this around for the greater good of everyone, and share and share and share and share, because it's the little donations that add up to make the whole. And with GoFundMe, you get a massive burst at the beginning where people throw in their interest, and they're really interested as should we say, the innovators, the people who are really keen on the whole project and get it. Then you get people that follow along and suddenly get time to watch the video even and donate. And you get people who are wondering whether a small donation is enough. The $1, if the 50,000 people I personally have on my subscriber list all donated the $1, then, as I mentioned before, we would have doubled what we need right now. So it doesn't matter if it's but I don't want people donating if they can't afford it. Please do not do that, and do not feel guilty. But you can share. You've got friends. It costs nothing. Share around your friends. If you're in the area or you're passing and you're coming over on holiday and you want something to come to when you're in England, by all means. I think a number of people are doing that over the next few weeks up to Christmas, and somebody's even coming at Christmas because they're coming over to visit. So by all means, give me a shout. If there's not anything going on with me medically, then absolutely you come round, and like I said, there's a hotel nearby if you need accommodation. If you can put up with a crazy Englishman, then there's a spare bed or two here. But yes, it's very important that we pass the word around, because without raising enough money to get to the first stage, then we are really sunk with the project. It won't go anywhere. The money is for uniquely just for the groundwork and for the oak. Beyond that, we can probably afford to get by with things like advertising on here and on Patreon and various other PayPal friends, etc. But this is the important time. This is the important moment. If we're going to schedule and we plan to start work on this in the spring of 2024, then we need to get the money together just to buy the wood and the materials we need to do the groundwork. But I think we're getting there. We're certainly going to achieve that target with your help. So please follow the link you'll see at the end of the video, and please donate whatever you can, or pass on the message to other people. And that's about it for today. I've got next week, I hope to do some more diorama work. We'll be getting everything ready for future visits from abroad. I will be working on using demonstrating the use of some other tools relating to the diorama, and we will probably do some more reels, which are becoming quite popular. I never understood any of these fast, instant, quick 30-second jobs, but they do seem to pass the word around. Also, I hope to have a couple of I'm planning on having a live video podcast, probably on YouTube, possibly on multiple channels, maybe Facebook Live, and I'm going to try to get together an interview, but we'll keep that quiet because I haven't had any confirmation, but I've got some good ideas for interviews with people in our fraternity, shall we say. I'll leave you at that. So have a great weekend and week ahead, and I'll see you next week. Hopefully Alfie will be less sleepy then. What do you want? Are you going to go to sleep? We always end with you, don't we? Night night, Alfie. Good night, everybody, and take care.